into bed. And I really don't know how to, how to proceed with this channel or whatever it's gonna become, you know. I mean, no idea how I want it to look, or if I want it to have a look. It was just sort of spur of the moment, so I don't really know how to treat it with, like, what I say, you know, like what type of video I do. So maybe for now it'll just be like little diary entries, either talking or just in the dark talking like this, or in front of the camera, or a mix, whatever. But one thing that I want to have in everything that I put out is I want it to not be painted too much with ego, and that's something that I watch a lot in myself, and over the past number of years, 7 or 8 years, have done that. And you know, it's not a comforting thing to do. It's really uncomfortable, and you know, you kind of would like to want to go back to where you weren't always watching what this person does, you know, because when there's somebody watching, you can't get away with anything anymore. It's just like with a little kid. If their parents watching, they're not going to be stealing snacks or kicking their brother or whatever. And so when I turned this video on just now, like, there was a different sense came over me, where it was obviously, you know, the ego coming in, like, okay, now we're recording something, I have to say something, and it has to be good, whatever that is, right? This is like the scared ego, and I think to the extent that it runs us, we can't really get anything authentic across. Because you know, when you watch it enough, you can feel it, you can sense it there, you can smell it in the things that you say, the things that I say. I mean, I say you. I'm really talking about me, so I'll just keep it personal. The things that I say and think, definitely. I kind of forgot where I left off. But just how I can sense when my ego is active and involved in what I'm saying and what I'm thinking. You know, I'm getting pretty good at sniffing it out. And yeah, I think I left off where it's not really comfortable to do that, because it's like looking at things that the ego doesn't want you to look at. It's like the wizard behind the little curtain there. You know, he doesn't want you to find out who he really is. In The Wizard of Oz, if you've ever seen it. So yeah, I don't want that coming through in anything that I put out, but it's difficult, I'll tell you, and I'm not always like, I'm not always going to be good at it, I think. Like even in this video here, like I've just noticed it, and I'm just telling you my personal inside, experience here. I'm trying to pretend that I'm not telling somebody because, it's such a intimate thing. It's so private, and I what other words here? I mean, it's so personal. It's just so private and intimate to you, these feelings and thoughts that, when they're combined, result in behavior. To look at them, to separate them out, and look at what's happening. It's not fun because there's a lot of fear involved, and that's, of course, it's my ego, like, don't do that, don't look behind the curtain. But it's like scary that it's stuff that I was going to say, ran me my whole life, but to a very, like, watched degree still does run me. And it's just that I'm watching it now, and that somehow affects the machinery of it. You're not supposed to watch this, because, if you watch it, you're close enough to influence it, and that's a threat to behind the curtain, to the guy behind the curtain. Like, you're too close to monkey with it. Like, get away from this. Because when, like I said before, and I think that was in the thing that I recorded earlier, when you're watching it, and you're watching it happen, as it's happening, as it's rising in me, it gives me a chance to jump in and gently, I don't even have to interfere. Just don't feed that in the usual rehearsed cyclical way that I've done it my whole life. So it's not resisting it, it's just not feeding it with further thoughts. And because if I'm really tight onto my thoughts and believe them, then it's easy to get so swept into a river of stories that lead to nowhere good. So to even see when the boat is pulling up and I'm used to getting on it and going with it, just to say, no, I'm going to go against what I feel is right, because of course it feels right to do what you normally do, and it feels weird to not do what you normally do. So, I'm going to choose to stand in that discomfort inside and not do what it is that I normally would do in this situation, and just remain present and not get caught into the momentum of thoughts and emotions all tangling up into a really familiar groove that I've made. Habits. Look at how many habits I have. I almost said you have. I always want to say you. We. And that's the beautiful thing about all of this, I think, is that the we becomes very obvious when I look at myself close enough and often enough, watching myself, from a different perspective, from a somewhat detached perspective, and just see the inclinations of what this guy, like, I mean, I just feel bad for me. I feel bad for him. And then it's like, man, that, think about what everybody else is going through. It's the same exact thing to a more or less watched degree. Some people don't watch it much, but they're still following the script. It's just different when you see yourself following the script and can have a chance to not do that. But that's scary too. That's really scary. But anyway, I was saying that when you see it in other people, it just becomes more of like, wow, these aren't my problems. It's an us thing. It's a we thing. This human condition may look different on the outside in different people, but I think we all have the same itch that we're trying to scratch. And I think the great ones who've lived among us and live among us are here to tell us that we can get away from those hindering beliefs about ourselves and get back to where it is we sense we can be, the peace that we sense is possible, and happiness. Because you have to know it to want it. That's what we all want, is peace and happiness. So we must know it, and then we do. It's just so fleeting. But that there's a way to have it, to be it, which is what we really want. That's the scent trail that we're really on, but it's so confusing and it's so easy to get off onto false leads. But anyway, that's probably enough talking for a holy cow.